Hi, I'm Ken Carpenter, the garden minister. Over the past year, we've started these gardens. The goal of garden ministry is not only to grow our own food, but in order to produce a lot of extra food to give over to places like missions, homeless shelters, and some of the elderly in our community. We do a lot of gardening coaching, and we help other people develop their gardens for overflow too. We highly want people to produce food that they can flow over and give to the needy in situations where they have something nutritious and good for them. We use absolutely no chemicals in our gardens. We rely on Mother Nature's bios atmosphere in order to create a soup in the gardens that feed the plants and keep them strong and vigor. Right now, today, this is one of our first videos we're doing. People have been asking about, what are you doing with all those leaves, Ken? Well, this is what we do. Last year, we started these gardens off meagerly. We cracked them open. We added what we could. It's been about a year now that we started this. All through the winter and fall, we kept adding leaf material and building our compost bins up. These beds are just beaming with earthworms everywhere in them. That is a magnificent thing. The idea behind lasagna gardening is you no longer ever have to till again, and you just keep a process of layering organic material onto your heaping growing beds. As they grow and decay, they constantly are feeding the beds that you need. So this year, the whole gardens are turning over into lasagna style bedding, and we're going to show you that. Here's two beds that we've already done. I've chosen for them to be 3 foot wide. That way I can get anywhere from 10 to 15 plants per bed, uh, according to the planting style that they need to be. And we can just keep this process going over and over. We're going to continue down the row of this bed here and making lasagna beds. What I do is, this is your natural measuring tool here. To this side of the bed, we heaped up 1 shovel's width into this bed, and now we're going to create this bed, make it 3 foot wide with all the compost material we've already spread and all the leaves that we've dumped on the garden throughout the winter and fall. This ought to make a pretty good lasagna stack to grow into, with lots of nutrition, aeration for the roots, and just make for very healthy plants. So we're going to get started with that, and then I'll show you how we finish off these rows to where we keep the process going. Now, like I said, we've already done 1 shovel's width to that side. We're going to do a shovel's width to this side, and these paths are important because what they're going to do is give us a place to walk to where these beds that become raised up, we never have to walk on them. We just work with them all the time. So you just simply shovel's width this way, and when we get to the other side, make the bed 3 foot wide and shovel the other row over into it. And we keep this process going all through the garden. And we'll never have to use a tiller again on this bed, on these bed areas. And we'll just keep this process going throughout the year. And when I get finished with this row, I'm going to show you what we do in order to keep the next material going for the next year. Easy composting the easy way. Look at this, big worms, big old worms, all through this bed. That is a magnificent thing. Those have been coming out of our compost bins by the hundreds and filled through all this garden bed. This is the benefit of lasagna gardening. You don't destroy the microorganisms with tilling constantly. And you don't kill off all your worms either. Tilling, believe it or not, once you do it, you release 30% of your nutrients and bioorganisms that help the plants uptake nutrition. You release 30% of those into the atmosphere. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep as much as we can in the permanent beds. So this is the first year process of turning this garden into permanent lasagna beds. A lot of people ask me about gardening being hard work. Well, it can be, and we can make it even harder on ourselves by trying to force Mother Nature to move too fast. I tell my brother and other people all the time, gardening is 90% patience
and 10% perspiration. And we have most certainly been patient with working with what I call growing our dirt for this year. And what I mean by growing the dirt is getting all these free amendments that people throw out on the curb, which can be used in your garden for free for the taking. And saves you a lot of money that way. And it helps our landfills too. It reduces the amount of material into the landfills. Each one of the gardens here at Garden Ministry, I've probably put at least 60 bags of material into. And with our huge compost bins we've had, I've probably put about 30 bags of material in each compost, along with all the kitchen scraps and everything. That's helped to develop the worms and just give us more material to work with. You can speed up this process if you want to by going and spending a lot of money at a mulch company and having mulch brought in and dump all over your beds and create this lasagna effect, but it's awfully expensive. I estimate it'd be about 30 yards of mulch material, and at a break price, that's about $200 plus all the work, and you're still not going to get the work that these beds are going to do this year in the same way. But you will speed up your first year in lasagna gardening if you want to do that. But I highly encourage you to use the free material that people throw out on the curbs all the time. Now this bed, this row right here is perfect for being able to walk in and work to either side of the beds. Now we're going to count off 3 feet, and this will be a permanent raised bed. My foot is about a foot long, so it makes it easy for me to count it off. 1, 2, 3. I'm not using all these measuring tapes all the time because I got tools that God has given us on our bodies, and tools that the manufacturers have already determined to be certain measurements that you can use with automatically. Here we go. 3 foot wide permanent lasagna bed. We're just going to cut right through all this material that's been aged over the winter and create this 3 foot wide bed. Look at all that dirt and earthworms popping up everywhere all through here. That's magnificent. That's what you want to see. And like I said, the benefits of lasagna gardening is you never destroy that ecosystem that you got going on in your dirt and your beds. That's why I say the first thing in gardening you must learn to grow is your dirt. And that's exactly what we're doing. Just flipping it right up on top of those beds. 3 foot wide. Excellent for growing most of your types of vegetables. And by keeping them uniform, what I decide, I'll be able to build cold frames this fall and drop them on top of any one of them, so I can keep growing greens and lettuces all through the winter. Get a good jump start on Look at that worm, guys. That's a breeder. That makes for some good stuff. Got to get him back in the garden. It's more like a garden snake. I love it. Look at this material. Black, aged, and beaming with worms everywhere. Everywhere. Without using the tiller, I'm not killing any of them, or not as many. And I'm not destroying their atmosphere and their home to where they stay in my garden and not go away. Most excellent. Most excellent. I'll be able to pop stuff right into these beds. Later on, we'll be making more videos as we plant things, like how to plant seeds in your bed with all this lasagna work going on. We'll be showing you different things throughout the season here at Garden Ministry and what we're doing to produce great food. You can find us on Facebook and hit like, and keep following us all through the season. Now here's the last step. This is growing the dirt for the next growing season. You know these, your whole food paper bags. Always want to know what to do with them. Most excellent way to recycle them is lay them down in the bottom of the trench that you just created for your raised bed. That way it keeps weeds from growing up into the bed throughout the season. So you don't spend a lot of time working on weeding things along that line. I am a patient gardener, but I have no patience when it comes to weeds. I don't like dealing with them, and I don't like yanking them. I got more things to do in my life than pulling weeds. I'd rather coach somebody else on how to pull weeds because they don't garden in the right way. I'm not doing it, folks, and I don't recommend you do it either. We just keep laying down these whole food bags. That's going to help block the weeds in the rows. Yes, sir, and they're going to break down over this growing season. And by the next growing season, all this will be turned into good compost and food. That's right, we're composting right in the rows. My compost bins are where I put my food scraps in, but this is where I break down and start impregnating the organic material I get from the curbside from everyone's house that wants to throw it into the landfill. This is where I start this process and breaking it down. Yes, sir. Is everyone having fun yet? See, I've almost completed this one lasagna bed right here, 3 foot wide. I can plant 10 tomato plants in this bed. I can plant all kinds of things in that space. It's gonna make everything grow real good. Now, once I get all these laid out the way I want, then we're gonna start the process of building the nutrients and building the dirt, growing my dirt as I call it, for the fall season. We're going to do that right now, and then we're going to let you go because I don't believe in making long videos. It becomes a showing off matter. But look what I can do instead of giving you the information you need. Now in between these rows, the last of the fall leaves will break down. They'll help keep the bed sides good and moist, and they'll break down over the season, and that'll be the food that we heap up onto the growing beds in the fall season for growing the fall and winter vegetables. This has been Ken Carpenter with Garden Ministry. Remember, go to Facebook and hit like, and keep watching for more videos to come. Thank you now. Have a blessed day.